Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Targeting Winners. This is a special episode, our regular season championship weekend review. So, got Pete, Darren. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. Happy Monday, everyone.
I think you should be happy with the results of this weekend.
It was a solid weekend of football. I cannot complain.
I wouldn't complain either because everyone, I think, had you guys pegged to lose. And, well, what do you know? Coaching matters, I guess. Do you want to start off right there with your beloved Wolverines?
Well, let me start with the Big Ten. So, I mean, the first thing is the negative side of this weekend was that one of my futures bets, which is Michigan State, I had them to win over 5.5. They got blown out at home by Rutgers, which I did not expect to happen. So my futures bet went out the window. So that one's dead, unfortunately. Michigan State was did not improve like I expected them to this year. So I'm not sure what's going on with that program. Give Jonathan Smith time, but that was not great. Outside of that, the Big Ten, we'll talk about Michigan in a second. I mean, everything kind of went as I would expect. I mean, Iowa at home playing Nebraska, close game, low-scoring game, no shocker there. Indiana, bouncing back and just pummeling Purdue, no surprise there. Notre Dame beating USC, not technically a conference game, but still not a big surprise there, although it was closer than I thought it would be, but not a big surprise there. So, I mean, the big surprise clearly was the Michigan game. And I've been spending the entire year bashing my team. Number one, so we didn't have a quarterback, so rightfully so. We still didn't have a quarterback this past Saturday. I don't know how you win a game outside of 1942, throwing for 62 yards. I don't know.
I'll tell you how when you're done.
Well, I have ideas, but I'm just saying, like, you don't expect to see that. So my indictment of the Michigan quarterback crew is not diminished, right? They still are terrible. Now, how do you beat Ohio State, right? So I think Jim Harbaugh figured this out 4 years ago after many failures, which was you run right at them and you play good defense, right? And that's what we've been doing for 4 years straight. We smash them in the mouth over and over again. They can't seem to contain that. That being said, with that, we still should not have won that game. I mean, I don't know what Ryan Day is doing. I make fun of James Franklin every week on this pod because I expect to do a crystal ball, which we'll talk about soon here. But, James Franklin is, guaranteed to do something stupid at some point in the year. Ryan Day is guaranteed to do something stupid against Michigan. You have weapons. Why aren't you throwing the ball? Why aren't you extending the field? Why aren't you pushing our quarterbacks deep and at least opening up some lanes so maybe you can run as well? Like just basic fundamentals of how to play. Ryan Day seems to just lose in these Michigan games, right? It's reminiscent on the other side back in the day when we couldn't beat Ohio State and whatever it is that we thought we were doing was just not working. We would go into those games and act differently than ourselves, and that was a problem. And Ohio State seems to be stuck in that rut, right? That they just don't seem to be willing to take chances and open it up, which is a problem. And once again, from the Michigan side, the idea has been just to punch them in the mouth, right? I don't think Ohio State's very tough. I think they are going to get beat up by somebody in the playoff because they're just not that tough of a team, especially in the trenches. We shouldn't be blowing them off the ball at all. So I am very happy that we won the game, but I literally on Saturday thought I'd be watching the first quarter and calling it a day and going to do something else. And
That's what I did.
Yeah, and I sat there and watched that entire flipping thing, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And that's all I kept saying the whole time. What is this? So it was cool. It was fun. It was unexpected. It was great. But this is not patting Michigan on the back. We have plenty of flaws. Now, that being said, right, we've been beating up the quarterback thing. We have Bryce Underwood next year. I mean, I told you the money was coming. I told you that we were going to go buy a quarterback. We bought a quarterback. So I expect next year to be a whole different thing. But once again, my indictment of the Michigan team stands this year, but it's greater for Ohio State. I mean, that should not have happened. So,
and it's not even an alum that put forth the money. It's an alum's or it's a husband of an alum.
Yes,
Like,
correct.
she's like, honey, can I have $7 million to give to the Barstool guy with his 3 to go get a quarterback? Sure, honey. Here, take the $7 million and give it to some 18-year-old kid. We have no clue if he's going to be good or not. She must be a hellcat in bed. Let me tell you.
Oh, I can tell you. He must be. But, I don't know.
My God, there's no way I'm giving.
But once again, I mean, this might be my team benefiting from this, but we talked about this early in the year. This is a detriment to college football. It's going to be the teams with the money that can buy anybody they want, and all the others are going to be second runs, and it's going to be a problem. So as happy as I am that we got Bryce,
well, you don't blame the kid.
No, I don't blame the kid at all.
Not at all.
I blame the structure of what's in place and what it's going to do to the game that I love. So that hurts me a little bit, but
if someone offers you $10 million, you say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
You gave me $10 million. I root for Miami for a couple of years. Sure.
No,
10 mil? No, 10 million. Everyone's got a price. If you give me 10 mil, yeah.
You need like one offensive drive in, and you'll just be like, I can't do this.
As soon as that check bounces, though, I'm out.
All right, I'm done. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, well, there was a recurring theme going on to the day. So once the game ended, this happened. I mean,
oh God, don't get me started.
So this has a trend. I think every single game had this happen. So
8 games had this happen, I believe, was the final count.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is weird to have that many of home teams lose. I mean,
yeah, if Ohio State had this much fight, they might have won the game.
That's what I said on Saturday. I was like, you know what? I mean, maybe you should have done that during, between the whistles, and you might have won the game, right? Don't complain about it after the fact. Now, that said, there's no excuse for that nonsense. That shit shouldn't be happening, right? We don't want to see that in our sport. But that said, you want to win the game, do it between the flipping whistles. Don't get pissed off later because they're putting it in your face. I mean, come on. That's childish bullshit.
A lot of road wins this week too. I mean,
yeah.
Which is just happened to work out that way. I mean, yeah, the same thing happened at Florida State. I mean, we have a thing where if you're like top 10 and we play you on the road, like we take a piece of the sod after the game if we beat you. Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, then don't be mad if someone wants to, they beat you at home. Granted, we're 2-10. I don't think that's I
was going to say, you probably didn't
be bragging
this year, did you?
No, surprisingly, we did not. So, yeah, usually if we play a top 10 team on a rope, was Notre Dame in the top 10 when they played? Not that it matters, but I mean, I don't think I don't remember. I mean, if Lightning
struck up like one spot a week since the Northern Illinois disaster. But
yeah, I mean, if Lightning struck Notre Dame and somehow FSU won that game this year, if they were like number 10, they would have took a piece. And they have a little cemetery behind the stadium. I mean, it's pretty neat, but I mean, you can't get mad if someone's going to plant a flag on your field if you're going to do that. So, I mean, it's what's good about college football, though. That's why we love it. I mean, the rivalries and everything, and this. All the administrators that are going to make it suck with all this,
Well, they are. And with all this conference realignment, all the things that are going on, we're going to lose some of the really cool rivalries we have, which sucks, right? I mean, because this stuff is fun. I mean, that was a fun game to watch, and my team sucks. And I didn't want to watch it, and it was still fun to watch. So, we're going to miss that stuff.
Yeah, well, this is the first year in 11 years that Texas A&M played because, administrators wanted the money, so A&M heads over. I mean, what if they did that with Ohio State? What if Ohio State joined the SEC?
Yeah, that would.
I mean,
we don't allow that, but sure.
I mean, it's insane. So, but we had some good news this weekend. Some very good news coming out of upstate New York or Western New York. Where's our boy Jeff? Shout out Jeff, Syracuse Orange. For the rest of the year, they will be deemed America's team by me. Just for the rest of the year. They save us all from having to listen to Miami fans. They beat the mighty, mighty Hurricanes with no defense whatsoever. And I remember you told me when we went to that Louisville game, number 29, he's a sieve, number 29, and they picked on 29 all game. It was like 3rd and 7, whoever 29 was guarding. First down, Syracuse. When they picked up that fumble and ran it back. That's why I was like, okay, this is I'm not turning this game off. This is going to be great. So
There's,
you guys
there's our
catch that?
crystal ball game of the year that we knew was going to happen. It just took them
Yep.
longer than. I mean, you're playing no defense whatsoever. You're down 42-35 with 4 minutes to go in the game. You kick the field goal, and you never got the ball back.
No.
I mean, I was, I know Tim, you and I, and Pete just recently, we got our coaches that we just verbally destroy most weeks. Your Franklins, your Cristobal's, your Matt Rules, your Scott Leffler, because we don't discriminate. We hate group of 5 coaches equally. Hey, run the jet sweep 4 times when every player on the defense is faster than anybody on your roster. Good call. And I was ready to put Ryan Day right up at the top of that list, but then Mario Cristobal happened, and they're like 1 and 1A. I
kind of like the guy. I wish he wasn't such a good recruiter, but hopefully, Cam Ward's leaving. He's going to be in the NFL, so now they got to find another quarterback. So hopefully they don't get one. And
they'll buy somebody. Oh, your boy Caden Salter left Liberty today to enter the portal, so he'll probably be rolling for the Hurricanes. And you won't have to worry because they will suck because he's not as good as everyone thinks.
Well, the Miami implosion, I said usually happens at the end of October. It happened at the end of November. So at Georgia Tech.
Hey, what better time? Because that could keep him out of the playoff.
It's worth the wait. It's well worth the wait.
Miami is a good playoff. But we can get into that shortly when we on who's in, out, who should be in, who should be out.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the A&M and Texas game because I actually turned off the Florida State game after the 4th turnover, which wasn't even before halftime. I mean, they had a strip sack. Which say what you want about Kramenacher, whatever the hell his name is. I mean, he's got no line in front of him. Then they muffed a punt, and then they fumbled it again. He just gave it to the running back. He just ran and said, "Yeah, I'm going to drop this ball." So now I just switched over and watched Texas and Texas A&M.
All right, let's talk about teams that don't suck. Which would eliminate Florida State from the conversation. So,
yes,
rankings are coming out tomorrow. There's a lot of teams that are taking to Twitter, head coaches. Yes, we're talking about you, Lane Kiffin. I think.
I saw that.
Yeah. So, last I saw, they're thinking 4 SEC teams, 4 Big Ten, 2 ACC. Dabo's out there saying it should be 3 ACC.
Nope.
A group of 5 in Notre Dame. So, what do you guys think? How many is the almighty SEC getting in?
Well, I liked how Bielema clapped back at Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin was had all these weird stats about an 8-3, whatever, and then Bielema was like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right," and he had a bunch of stats about Illinois being 8-3, and all that stuff. So it was nice. Someone pointed that out, but. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying all along it's probably going to be 5 SEC teams. And
yeah,
I did place a future bet, but placed one today. I got plus 2,000 for Alabama, even though they may not make it, but I think they're going to back in.
Yeah,
I think they're in. So between the 3 of us, we've got 4 teams that we need to get into this 12-team thing.
We do, yes.
Is that what we got? Tim, you got Indiana and Alabama.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Ohio State, and Pete and I both have Notre Dame. So with any luck, we've got a third of the bracket, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Ohio State's getting in, of course. Notre Dame's getting in. I think it's going to be 4 Big Ten, 5 SEC probably, unless Alabama will get in. So that makes 4. I'm sorry, 5. So I think that's very likely. I think Miami's done. I don't think they can get in unless something weird happens. I think they're out. Miami hasn't been beaten a currently ranked team. That's an issue, right? That doesn't speak well to them. So I think they're done. They're out. Ole Miss, I'd love to see Ole Miss in there, but I don't think they have a chance of getting in. So once again, unless something weird happens, so it's going to be interesting to see what Indiana does in this tournament. I'm just curious and intrigued by the team. Right. Obviously, they went to Ohio State. They got beat. But I think depending on the matchups, it could be interesting to see who they get and what they do. So I'm kind of starting to think about some of these matchups. I mean, clearly this coming week, and we're going to have our normal Thursday pod that we do. But, I mean, Georgia, Texas again, man, that's going to be fun. That's going to be interesting. We'll talk about that later in the week, but I think that's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
By the
so
way,
there-
I like Texas in that game. Just
I do too. I do
okay.
too.
Well, it's
I
hard
mean,
to.
not an official bet yet or anything. But I'm
No,
just saying.
not me either, but
I think Texas is going to come with business in mind, and I think they're going to take care of business. So, but anyway,
I looked at the lines for the 9 championship games. 8 of the 9 are like 4 points or less. So yeah, this should be another fun. We got 3 games Friday, 6 on Saturday. Should be interesting. I mean, I'm pulling for Oregon and Texas only because that'll move the Fighting Marcus Freeman's probably up to number 3 in the country, which means they would get a 5 seed. I think we talked about this before we started recording. The 5 seed seems to be what everybody wants, just because how the bracket plays out with no reseeding.
Yep.
You'll get the lowest ranked, well, not the lowest ranked, I'll say the 5th ranked group of, or the 5th highest ranked conference champion. Thank you, English, good language, learn it. At your house. I mean, if Arizona State ends up being the 12th, you think they're going to want to go to Notre Dame at 3rd week of December?
Yeah, no.
Play football? Probably not.
No.
Whoever the 5 seed is out of there, the winner of that game gets to go play the 4th seed on a neutral field, which is, we all know, is the 4th highest ranked conference champion. And that could be somebody from the ACC, could be Boise State. I mean, UNLV can end up beating Boise State. So I don't think anything is really set in stone here. It looks like a lot of good games. The only one more than 4, I believe Tulane was like laying 5.5 against Army or something like that. But that's at West Point. I mean, that's one of the conference games that a higher ranked team gets to host. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be fun. I mean, I'll watch the rankings tomorrow night, knowing that they're gonna change again, most likely. But Big Ten winner, probably the overall number 1 seed, I would imagine. Well, no, maybe I shouldn't say that, because you got 1 and 3, Penn State and Oregon, 2 and 5, Texas and Georgia. Maybe not. Okay, so nah. Guys, if Texas.
Well, what if Oregon does lose? You get the highest ranked.
Texas, I mean, if Oregon and Texas both lose, you probably give it to. I guess you would give it to Penn State. They're 3, Georgia's 5. Penn State's only loss is against Ohio State.
Or if it's just one of them, wouldn't that put one of those losers into the Notre Dame side of the bracket? How would that?
Well, Notre Dame doesn't have a side. The best they can hope for is a 5 through 8, so they can host a game.
Yeah.
But the 5-12 goes to 4. The 1 seed plays the 8-9 winner, which is kind of why everybody likes the 5. It's like, wow, you're the number 1 seed. You could get like a really solid, SEC or Big Ten team in there. While you end up not getting a bye week, you play like the 2 sorriest conference champions.
That's perfect, right?
I mean, I'll tell you right now, if Notre Dame gets the 5 seed, I'm not even going to consider hedging with them until the semifinals. If they lose, they lose. I got 28-1. I wasn't having high expectations back in June anyway when I made that bet, but if I'm just letting it roll. My only hope is somehow Ohio State, and Notre Dame are at least on opposite sides, and hopefully they can. But if Notre Dame's a 5, I'm gonna take the chance that they're gonna make the semifinal, and then if they do, I'll bet the other team that they played to win the national championship. In which case, I'm guaranteed 1 team in. So I'm hoping for a two hedge maximum if everything works out. But we'll see. Still,
I'm going a different route. I mean, I'm just like I said, the Miami loss. If everything's going to change now, but if everything stayed the same, the Miami loss hurts my Indiana bet, because I figured they could beat Miami, and I figured they could beat Penn State and slam that buyout button as soon as they get to the Final Four.
I don't know if Indiana can beat Penn State. I mean, you and I talked about this a week or so ago. I mean, they struggled with Michigan. I mean, Michigan was probably the only team they played at that point that had a good defense. Then they played Ohio State, and after that first 70-yard drive and that last drive that meant nothing, where they got a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, that was 75 yards. They only had 151 yards for the entire game. Yeah, almost all that came on those 2 drives. So Indiana has not shown that they can do anything against good defense. So they seem to be pretty matchup dependent. So hopefully you'll get a game or 2 with with a team. Maybe you'll get, you could probably beat Alabama. I mean, Alabama's got no defense. I would love for. I mean, I know that sucks for your bet because you got the two teams.
One of them's going to drop, but
that'd be fun.
I mean, at least you're guaranteed a spot in the Final Eight if that happens. But yeah, I think as long as Indiana avoids a team with a defense, they're a threat. But eventually, you've got Penn State, you've got Texas, you've got Ohio State, you've got Notre Dame. I mean, those four teams all have really, really good defenses. So.
Yeah, I just wonder if it was any other team, if they struggled to beat an unranked team and needed 8 overtimes, wouldn't that team fall in the rankings? Any other team, pick it. If Penn State needed 8 overtimes,
drinking game where ever take a shot every time Joe Tessitore said Georgia makes the playoffs, I'd be wow. I
mean, well, yeah, but I was just thinking like they said, well, they're in no matter what. Like even if they lost to Georgia Tech and then lose to Texas, or still in.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean,
the thing is they beat Texas, so I mean that's
but if Texas
beats Texas loses, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Texas beats Georgia. That Georgia's a 3-loss team. How far do they fall?
Yeah, right. No.
Well, that's just the thing. There's no consistency in this.
I mean, Ohio State only dropped to 7. I thought they should have fallen a lot further than that. But
they want them to have a home. That's what they. That's why I want.
They're not going to get one. They shouldn't get one. But then again, you say, well, why did Ohio State only fall to 7? Well, they do have 3 games against top 5 opponents, and they did win 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think, even though they lost, I was, I mean, Tim, I told you, I'm only worried about Ohio State and Notre Dame. I really wasn't worried about Ohio State because, they did beat a top 5 Indiana team. They did go to Penn State and beat a top 5 Penn State team. They lost at Oregon by 1 point. I mean, a loss wasn't going to be the worst thing in the world for them. They're still in. Yeah, they're not, they're not getting a bye week. They're not hosting a game.
Yeah. Right.
They're going to have to just hope they get the right matchup in the first round. Notre Dame, I was worried about because they very easily should. I mean, they should be out if they lost to USC. That Northern Illinois loss. I mean, we've had a lot of crazy games, but I still think that was the worst loss of the year. Out of any upset you can find, well, maybe Kennesaw State beating Liberty, but that doesn't affect the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, you look at Notre Dame the last 10 weeks of the season. And how Northern Illinois went after, first of all, credit to the mighty Marcus Freeman's. You laid like 0 eggs for 10 straight games. I didn't know you had it in you. Good job, team. But yeah, if they lost to USC, my thought they should be out. I mean, USC is not great.
Yeah, I would just like. I'm still dreaming of a college football playoff where there's no committee involved or no voting.
Well,
you're never going to see that.
I hate it so much.
I think they tried that with the BCS and everybody hated that as well. So
I bring back the BCS. At least the BCS there's not emotional. You punch in the numbers, it spits out a thing. There you go.
It's there with 12 teams. I mean, that 12's a lot of teams. I mean, at the end of the day, you should get an appropriate winner out of a 12-team playoff. I mean, the teams under that, if you look at like just who's on the cut line, Ole Miss, great. They can score. They can't stop. I mean, they'll lose. Miami just had a bad loss to a bet. Oh, by the way, OSU, which quarterback do you want now? Right? How about the guy in Syracuse? Right. So there's that. I mean, Arizona
State doesn't matter if your offensive play caller and your head coach know what the hell they're doing. I mean, was there a bigger mismatch in position groups this year between Ohio State's wide receivers and Michigan's depleted secondary? Jeremiah Smith had 0 targets in the second half. How do you let that happen as a coaching staff?
I would have ran the ball 5 times and just launched the ball down the field repeatedly against that team. I mean, honestly.
You do that 5 times, those guys will catch 2 of them minimum.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Just dumb. Just totally dumb. And then Ryan Day got the vote of confidence, which means you don't win the national championship, you're fired.
You're out.
You should be fired.
I don't want him to leave. We beat up on him every year. I want him to stay there. He's great.
Take Chip Kelly with you, too, that fat bastard. Let's run the ball 26 times. So the one thing that Michigan's got 5 NFL players on the defensive front. Yeah, let's just run into them a bunch of times. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Brilliant. How many millions are you getting to make these calls? Hell, I'll do it for free.
But back to my point, right? Everybody below 12 here on this list, they're all severely flawed teams.
Yeah.
Like
I would say anyone below 8.
I mean, sure, but But to
I think
argue
12's
that
too many, but it's
to argue that this 12 is not going to bring us a real national championship, I don't know. I think it will because there's the quality's in that 12. I mean, honestly, and I think we're going to see the best thing we've seen in college football for a while. So I'm very excited. We got 4 really good weekends of college football coming up, other than the kind of sporadic stuff, but like big, like this weekend, then the first weekend of the playoff, the second weekend of the playoff. There's going to be some really cool weekends of college football coming up.
yeah.
I mean, this weekend's great. You got the 9 championship games, and then Sunday afternoon, you'll get your first official bracket. You'll get all the bowl games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for Sunday. I mean, there's a couple games I was looking at just like briefly. I mean, I the show kind of popped up unexpectedly, so I didn't really look at a whole lot. I mean, I started to look at Tulane Army just to see if I was going to have to send one of you guys money that game, because I can't do that because I live in this hellhole called New York. But just one interesting fact about that game. So, Tulane's coach, John Summerall, he coached your boys down there in Troy the 2 years before he came to Tulane. So every year he's played either Army or Navy. So he's got 3 games against teams that run Army style offense. Yep. His defenses in those 3 games have given up a total of 9 points.
Yeah.
So I might not care that this game is at West Point. I don't know if you watched the Notre Dame Army game, man. They beat the crap out of that Bryson dude. Why is he running the ball 37 times in a 30-point blowout? I have no idea. But John Summerall can defend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of that Army Navy stuff. 5.5 might be too low. But we'll track it through the week. And if Friday morning one of you guys see a PayPal email coming from me, you'll know why.
Yeah, no, we talked about him in the summer, right, and him leaving Troy and what that would mean to that program and how good of a coach he is. So, I mean, absolutely. I think this is a very intriguing. I haven't looked yet. I didn't look at the line yet or any of that, but I am very intrigued by that for all the points you made here. So I'm excited to take a look. But I'm excited for this weekend. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to watch that Georgia-Texas game. I think it's going to be fun as all hell. I cannot wait.
Oh, maybe do a live stream for that.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. I think Texas
official live stream. Maybe we'll stay tuned, folks.
I think Texas is going to remember what happened last time. I think they're going to bring a can of whoop ass out on them. That's what I think, but I'm not quite there yet.
You know what else I didn't know that I heard is that the teams can pick what bowl they play in the semifinals. Like Oregon, they'll say you can pick between like the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl or something like that, and then where they would actually pick it based on the other team. So if they got to the Final Four and they didn't want to play Georgia, say if Miami was still in it, they'd be like, all right, we'll go to the Sugar Bowl, Georgia, you go to Miami and play the Hurricanes down there, kind of thing, like a whole jockeying when it gets to the semifinals. Like the 2 highest teams get to pick which one they want to go to. I forget where I heard that. I don't know if it was on Josh Pate or if it was on.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't.
I
knew that for the first round, teams 5 through 8 got to choose to either play at home or a location of their choosing, which I thought was odd. Why wouldn't you play at your own home stadium? But yeah, I didn't know that about the bowl games. But
they could pick where they played 5 through 8.
That's what I thought I heard. Just for that round, though, I didn't know it was.
I guess if you're, let's just say a smaller school got in and you didn't really want the small stadium, you could pick somewhere else. Or there's certain teams that don't play well at home. I mean, if you don't play well at home, you might want to pick somewhere else that suits you. Or if you're a northern team, but you're a fast team and you don't want to be playing in the snow, like screw this. If you're Notre Dame, maybe you don't want to play in Indiana, right? Maybe you want to go to Florida or something. I mean, some places nicer. So I don't know.
Well, if you're like, say, the Hoosiers and, they don't want to play in the snow, just pick Lucas Oil Stadium or whatever.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I think you could. I could see where that would make sense for certain teams in certain situations.
You know what? I'll look into that for the next show. So to see what is what. For some reason, I thought, Tim, what you said, I heard something similar to that for the first round games. But
I thought they would just give
the home game. Why wouldn't you want a nice warm weather team coming to your stadium on December 21st?
Oh, well, absolutely. Unless it's not a warm weather team. If you're playing,
that's what I'm saying. Like if it's Iowa State, that might not be a big advantage. But if it's Arizona State or SMU,
for sure, yeah.
Come on up.
Wizard,
line up the South Bend.
Right. Let's go there.
So, All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. Why not? Sound like a good plan.
Yeah.
We'll look ahead. I think we'll be back on Thursday. We have Mark with us this week. Looking ahead.
No, he's gonna come on not 2 weeks from Thursday, the 19th, because the 20th is your first bracket game, and then the 21st are your next three. Your 5 through 12, 8, 9, 7, 10, 6, 11. I don't know who's where yet, but there'll be one game Friday. So yeah, I think probably 2 weeks from now or 2 weeks from Thursday. Obviously we'll preview those 4 games and probably any other bowl games for the week. We'll probably in a couple weeks we can just start going weekly with, okay, we got these games from Friday to Thursday, and we'll just cover. Yeah, he says he would like to come on for the 19th to go through those first 4.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our little recap of the past weekend. Thank you all for joining us. As always, find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please leave a review, like, and subscribe. Also, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see our smiling faces and our graphics.
And my daughter can watch last week's video.
Yes, you got the. We should have got her to make a pick last week while she was there. That's what we should have done.
If she wants to come on. See if she wants to come on. She's going to the Eagles game next weekend. So.
Sweet.
I'm sure she'll be into that.
Yeah, totally. She's wearing pink, by the way.
All right, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you all for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks for taking us out.